大风今天。
对呀。哎，明天是那个 Jack 的那个吗？不是啊，我们是要聚一下吗？哎，好像就是计算机专业的是吗？那也没多少人啊，这不像第一次来那么多人，安全。你看那个 Reggie 他们都没来 ，Reggie 他们到没一个呀？
有你。
对呀。这个也本来是课它差不多的课程，像那个 CS 啊、威尔伯那些相关是吧？课都相差不多。看见了。在哪？在哪家？这也没多大雨啊，这根本就不叫雨。
Face analysis clustering exercise. No, but it means nothing, but anyway.
There are different data sets for face recognition.
就是你挖对吧
There's the one for emotion.
这个来打分应该差不多的。
Combine them all.
差不多的。对对，你说隔天的话，也不至于变那种。
One is RGB, one is.
And if you whatever, you take advantage of it. Linear's model is even better to account for any data set. And let me see.
One of it is only one shot, and the other one is kind of like side shot, side shot.
还带几是吧？
See that? Okay, fine.
还带几。
What was it stage?
Analysis clustering exercise. Let's make sure.
When he was subbing.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
知道为什么？任务山的时候是那人加班，然后解决什么问题，然后还开了好多中关，然后后来就疯了呗，不找你有。Space space 就
几个好处就是想来不来，最后看看场面。就是你可以在上面花钱，不花钱，你想干其他的也干，就是这样的。它只是一个产品来，它只是一个。
Corporation. Plus. 外汇。要中国外汇流出。
我让他做这个。
Based on analysis coordination interface.
不知道我跟安迪说，然后你说这个，他可能起不来啊。
看我去看上面。
No, it has implications if you're all moral. You get in a fucking seat.
独立的。
Yeah, sounds good.
James.
What are you doing this?
Huh?
What are you doing this?
I didn't say it. So what was you太苛了呗。
哦，被黏膜是吧？被黏膜。
I checked one.
No.
We were got full time.
Yeah.
我去那个杰森那儿，他吃了这，他 他吃的这么好。那个。
Ja, Volksmarkt ist Spaß aus.
But
he wasn't there for that.
对，不是香港
I didn't think he was there either.
他想长胖了。
For around here, the Christmas light up.
对呀。
已经改 PB 是吧 ？PB 那个好过是吧？我们没有学那个，我们没那个课。我们就一个 PB 的，不是 Social Network。那就差不多就算了。
That's a better ratio.
不过学一个改个别的，偏技术一点的。我也不想骗你们，我的。
就是自己上课，然后说就错了。
对啊。喝点零食再说。不过他不考试也是一个优势。
暂时还没有到这种，然后我现在学习懂这个意思，但是我的关牙这个。
What is X2277?
真的每个人都会
我早上上那个 Dramatic Web 课程不行，那多难。
我都要哭了，我以为还有点
对呀，但我一般睡觉吧，我就坐那儿，这头可以不动，眼睛闭上，还能睡着。但是要头动了，就果然能醒过来。一般不会钓鱼。你们是你的小火锅来的。谈个谎说的。
不要太。
Ja, das ist nicht ja.
No, what? Good thing. Good now.
老外都是这样，你说头发少是吧？这个啊，我以为头发少，以为像电铃是吧？以为可以去演电铃的。下次没去买。是吧？我3月份，你们3月份回去。
前面那是一个人来的。
别去什么法国、意大利啊，去个北欧的。对啊，就是安全第一，你别。我去，那你千万得注意，你别到时候那个。那你是一个人还是跟别人一起？就你俩的，有点危险，真的是有点危险。之前去法国的，就是考完了有好多人去法国，有女的，有的人一下飞机就没机上了，对半没机上了，枪子直接抢了，然后呢那个护照就丢了嘛，直接回国去了。还有的在不知道说，不是还有的女的那种几个单身的一个人的，好像。飞那个啊，所以你得注意，千万别去了，真的。不是你要人多去，你要是 那么2-3个人也比较多，就是你可能一下子可以在网上要么，而且说这些景点都有经济说的，警察说的，你这一点不好。
Okay. Welcome aboard Elect 6211. My name is Nicholas Green and I will be your pilot. Okay? I choose those words specifically as obviously a lot of this module is delivered to you by people other than myself. So I'm part lecturer, part tour guide. Okay? So, this is obviously a close packing problem. There are 262 MSc students this year, and only 262 plus a small number of spare seats in this lecture theatre. So, two things. This particular lecture on Friday afternoon is the main required attendance one. So if you try and turn up promptly, it helps to get you packed in, obviously. Okay, so apologise about the mix-up earlier in the week. Timetabling reversed the order of my lectures. Normally this lecture is on a Monday, and I didn't realise that the emails I was sending before the beginning of the week weren't actually going anywhere. So I hope you're all getting my emails now. I'm using a completely different way of sending emails from normal. Anyone not getting emails from me? Good. Or you're very shy. Okay. So, my name is Nicholas Green. You will find me in building 53, which is the Manhattan building, room 4010. If you have any questions about anything to do with the module, feel free to email me. I'll publish the details of the other lecturers on the module who you will also be able to contact next week. The main purpose of this lecture is to provide core information and core material for the module. There are other lectures which I will outline in due course. The purpose of the module is to give you an introduction to concepts not very readable from down that corner. An introduction to core concepts associated with the project in the summer, right? So a key part of an MSc program is to, weirdly, not to do a project, but to write a dissertation, which requires you to do a project. That might sound a bit circular, that's the way it is. And I mention that because one of the first things that we're going to do in this module is talk about how you write a dissertation. Okay? So, one of the biggest parts about starting a project is, as I'm sure you know because you'll have done one before, that you get to do a lot of reading. Yes? What's the point of reading?
Background knowledge.
Sorry?
Background knowledge.
Background knowledge. Anything else? What? Pretend to be an academic. Okay. Technically, I would have said if you're doing research, you are an academic at some point. That would be my observation. No, the key part of reading is, and sort of at a higher level than gaining background knowledge, is to decide what it is you're going to do. Okay? Keyword in the title of this module is preparation. Alright? So this module is all about preparation for the summer project, giving you access to knowledge of methods and techniques, and what we'll discuss in the core lectures is sort of the fundamental techniques and methods that underpin doing research. Key thing about an MSc is that the project and the dissertation is based on research. Okay? That's potentially quite distinct from what you might do in an undergraduate program. So you might do a research project, but you might do something very different. There are many people here from many places around the world, and I have absolutely no idea what you did in your previous program. Okay, so I have to stay slightly general at this point. Okay, there are 14 cohorts. I'm hoping I've got all the names right. Yes, there are 14. One down. 261 to go. Right. Where was I? Yeah, 14 cohorts. Right. So, obviously, you as a group are ECS's MSc students for 2016-2017. You are a fairly diverse group of people. Okay? Studying things broadly under the banner of ECS, but they could be quite separate things. What I'm going to show you is that a lot of the principles of research are the same for all of you. That's what we're going to talk about. You will gain knowledge specific to your cohort from your program leader and from your supervisor. So, program leader and supervisor are also involved in this module as a way for you to access subject-specific knowledge and information. And that's them, so you know where to find them if you don't know who they are. It's a very simple concept to the module as a whole. I'm essentially going to guide you through the things that you should do before you start a project. Okay? We have lectures on material, but underlying the whole thing is I and my fellow academic are going to guide you through the processes of preparing to do a project. The aim is, the overall aim, right, is to make sure in a relatively stress-free environment, I say relatively stress-free because there is assessment, okay, to give you an understanding of the area in which you are going to do your project. Okay, so before you start your project, you have a good basic understanding of the area that project is set in. And as a result, picking the project is part of the module. So, deciding on what projects you're interested in, choosing some examples and being allocated to a supervisor is part of the running of this module. From the module's perspective, as opposed to the specific project, the key activity that you need to do is read a lot. Hence the reason I mentioned it at the beginning. Alright? You read material, you analyze the material, you critique it. I'm going to go on about critical analysis a lot. you need to build up an understanding of the context for your work, and then hopefully at the end you have a nice clear idea of what you're going to do in your project. That's the whole idea. So, 5 questions, right, that underpin this concept, right? What is the general setting for your work? Believe it or not, this is probably the single biggest thing that nobody can do, is to explain what the context is. Okay? That is different. A lot of academics will tell you it's the same thing, but it's different from what work other people have done. So there's 2 different things. At the end, you'll have an idea of what the main aim of your project is going to be, what's the key objective, why is this important, right? And what's the value of your contribution? So the underpinning word I want you all to live by, the mantra, right? Why? Why are you doing the project? Why does it matter? What's the value? What's the purpose? Right, so, structure. Right? I'm not going to really conceptually talk about it too much more at the moment. Right? We'll come back to the idea of research and writing and doing analysis in specific lectures. One of the main purposes of this lecture, which is why I would like you to come every week, you're not all here, which means some of you won't know what you're doing. I will try and publish a summary of the information that we taught. I will publish the summary that we do on the notes page. Right? So if you're not here, there will be a sort of minutes of the meeting, if you like, published on the notes page for the module. As it stands right now, I was using the blog tool on the, to publish updates and also email you, but I don't know if it's working. I don't know. You didn't get any of the emails I sent before, so at the moment I'm planning on using a different email tool to send emails, and I'll publish the updates on the notes pages. You all know what that is, right? Right. So, structure is, is a somewhat complicated set of lectures published for the module. Hopefully they don't look too complicated when you look at them. Problem is I don't get to see what you see. Right? But for weeks 1 to 3, and obviously week 1 is a bit of a wash, thanks to the fact that this lecture's on Friday instead of Monday, which is when it should be. There's this main lecture, and there will be a lecture in week 2 and 3 with the program leader for your cohort. Right? I'll explain what the purpose of that lecture is in a little bit. From week 4 onwards, you will see that there is another 2 lectures labelled Lecture 3 and Lecture 4. They are not like this. For those lectures, you split into 2 halves, right? To allow me to give material at a more focused level and also give a better lecture. But this Friday lecture and some of those other lectures will be where I deliver information, where I give you the lecture material that you need to do the assessment, for example. We'll cover writing, academic integrity, writing reviews, ethics, research methods, analysis methods, project planning, commercial aspects of research, legal aspects of research, and how to give presentations. Some of that is because that is what the assessment is, so it's only fair for me to teach you how to do it before I assess how well you do, I suppose. Sounds fair, right? instead of a voting system. Who thinks that's fair? Wow. Ah. Who thinks it isn't fair? Right. Now, I will publish. Wait, I'll get a bit messed up because all my timing is a bit right. Right, but I will publish the timing for the lecture. Okay, or not. In order, yeah. So the lectures you should come to because that's where you get your information from, but they may not all be used every week. Right, so I will publish a timetable for those sessions on the notes page for you to use. Okay? Along with the subject. Oops. Yep. There may also be, depending on the availability of lectures, some optional additional specialist lectures in those slots as well, but I'll let you know as we get there. Right, so, ta-da, I told you it's complicated. This is the view I see, right? Not necessarily the view you see. So, I've tried to write them in the order they happen during the week, so that you'll get an idea. So this is how the semester is structured. I don't know if you ever really see this kind of structure. Right, so, lecture 1 is on Friday. Is the core material. And like I said, I'll publish this timetable with the subjects in it once I've arranged everything with all the lecturers. You have lecture 2 by cohort with your program leader. And that will be in week 2 and week 3. The timetable for lecture 3 and 4 I'll publish. Key things though, the expectation is you meet a few times, not necessarily 5 times, but a few times with your supervisor once you're allocated. The Easter holidays is between week 8 and 9. It is a 4-week break there in the middle. And before you go dashing off after your exams, there will be a conference which you have to attend in the exam. I shall explain. Right. So, for information, I'll put this presentation on there. For any of you who don't have it, that is the list of times for the individual cohort lectures in week 2 and week 3. As an aside at this point, for those of you in software engineering, I understand Julian has made a separate arrangement with you. Is that correct? No? Right, fine, I'll confirm that with you. Right, so 2 notes in an addendum to this. Right? Julian has requested to move to a different slot already in your timetable. I'll let you know what that is. That's for software engineering, okay? And for cyber security, Dr. Wills will not be able to do next week's, the week 2 lecture at the right time, and I will send you the rearranged time for that lecture, okay? Hopefully, once I do that, you'll start communicating directly with the program leader, and that'll be all okay. Right, now, the purpose of those meetings with your program leader is to help you understand the areas of research associated with the program that you're studying. You obviously have an idea because you'll be studying specialist technical modules in semester 1, right? But this is your opportunity to talk through some topics, get an expert inside view on it, and then along the way, you will be able to make a more informed choice of potential projects. Right? Project application is done in 2 stages. The first stage is you choose some options. Right? That's the website. I will provide detailed instructions on the notes page to how to act. That was a good point. We'll get to it. Right? But also slightly more detailed instructions of what we expect you to do. But in summary, you pick 6 options from those available to you in the system by the 20th of February. Right? Okay? That's not the end of it. Okay? Right? But also don't do it too soon, right? Because it's not a pick it and it's gone, right? It's just picking I like that project as an option, right? Once that 20th of February is the deadline, right? Because once it's done, then we do the allocation. So the second stage is we use your selected options to allocate you to one of those 6 options. Okay? So one of those options that you pick will be your allocation. Alright? Following that exercise, you'll get that information hopefully very quickly. You then should arrange a meeting with the supervisor for the project and make sure that you are happy with that. Okay? If you would like to change, then you talk that through with your program. Alright? Any questions? Yes.
There's only a finite set of options. No proposing or anything like that?
Interesting. If you have a project idea, okay, that's a good question. If there's a project that you would particularly like to do, right, yourself, which is fine, talk to your program leader, right? Because obviously we would need to find a supervisor to supervise it, right? And as long as there's a supervisor we can find, I'm sure we can make that happen. Okay? But bear in mind you need to talk to the program leader because for those of you, what MSc you doing?
Computer science.
Alright, never mind. For most of you, apart from them, right, you're doing a very specific MSc program, right? And part of the accreditation process requires you to do a project in that area. There's in computer science, which is kind of meh. So,
它里面库里面有好多题目，你随便从里面选6个。
lost my train of thought now.
哎，
Yeah, right.
不是自己。
We'll talk a bit more about this as we go along, right? So we'll keep talking about this from the allocation perspective. You should talk it through with your program leaders to get a good handle on the topics and what they mean, and to help your understanding of the research area. Like I said, that's by the 20th. So the system should go live on Monday. Right? There will be instructions on the notes page, and I will send an email containing the same instructions and the link. Right? It looks like that. So if you don't see that, you're not in the right place. Okay? Okay, so last thing I want to talk about today is the assessment structure for the module. And hopefully by the time I finish you'll understand why I'm telling you this right now at the beginning. There are 3 pieces of assessed coursework for this module. The first is the general research review. This is handed in week 8. Right? What you do is exactly what the title says. right? The expectation is that based on the area, the research area for your project, you read some literature, you can get literature from the library. There'll be a couple of lectures from the library on accessing resources to help guide you to specific places, specific databases that you have available that are available to you as researchers at the university. You can also, the supervisor should also guide you to relevant literature, and so can the program leader. So you have access to a range of people you can talk to for guidance on accessing literature. You read it, and you produce a 3-page, so it's not long, 3-page, double column, properly formatted mini review paper of the area of research that you've presented. Right? Not a literature review. At that point, I usually wait for questions. Someone's going to ask, what's the difference? No? Wait! Well done. What's a literature review? Like, what do you understand by the term literature review? I have the same argument with my colleague.
Dog? This is dog?
If I was going to submit a review to a journal, okay? You're doing research, okay? The purpose of doing research is? Why do we do research? Find answers, interesting. Not sure that's necessarily true.
To improve humanity.
Contribute to knowledge.
Thank you. Find out, discover something new, I think would be a good one.
I don't know.
How do you do that? So wait for someone to tell me what research is. The word itself has an interesting etymology, right? What does the pre-section re mean? Again. So if it's new, why do you do it again? Most people would identify research as something you do for the first time. Right? So you will get a lecture from the library, right, on accessing resources and doing research. And the interesting thing is that librarians have a completely different understanding of the word research than I would. They understand it pretty much exactly as it says. Researching is where you go and read lots of stuff and discover things from what you've read, right? The actual action is going and reading stuff to find out things. So, from that perspective, research is actually the action of doing a review, not what you do in a lab. So, research is the first bit. It's what you do in preparation for discovering something new. That's what a librarian understands by it. And the reason why you do that first is to make sure, primarily, that no one has done it before. Right? Now, all of this goes hand in hand with being an academic, right? I'm not supposed to have to read things because I'm supposed to have read it and know all. At least in my area, obviously, no one can know everything else. So, the purpose of a review, from the perspective of doing a project, is you read things, find out what people have done, find out what they haven't done, right? Because that's what defines your project. And along the way, pick up skills, methods, and techniques that you can use in order to answer your question, right? That's what you're supposed to do when you do reading in preparation for a project. That is a literature review. You take the literature, which is the background to your project, read it so that you know everything possible that everyone knows about the background to your project. If I was to write a paper for a journal, and why I started with the question is a lot of academics would say the point of doing research is to publish. But cart before the horse, maybe. Right? If I was to say to a journal, I've got a review I want to publish in your journal, they would say, is it a critical review, a topical review, a technical review, a literature review, a research overview, and many more. Because actually there's lots of different things depending on the purpose of the review. In this particular case, the general research review is to write a review of the, if you like, state of the art in the area where your project is. If I read your review and you then say, my project is X, I should know from reading your review exactly why you want to do that. The key word is why, not what. Right? You want to think about the difference between a literature review and a general overview, state-of-the-art review. Right? One is why and the other is what. So obviously at the start of your dissertation, you would have a pretty comprehensive literature review. Because that's what you do at the start of writing a report or a dissertation. You give all the background information, all the work that people have done, etc., etc. This is more general than that, right? This is this and this and this and this and this, and at the end you say, I'm doing it that, and I go, I understand exactly why you want to do that. I might not know what you're going to do, but I know why you want to do it. You can, in it, highlight outstanding, unsolved issues and problems, right? Which would be a very good way of framing the review, because that by itself is where your project would sit. Now, I'm going to mention this now, because it's a bit of an open question. You should choose a standard journal format appropriate to your discipline. There are variations between different areas and how people format journal papers, etc., etc. Now, I will provide a standard one used by the IEEE, which you can use if your supervisor doesn't have a preference otherwise. Okay? The second two coursework, the review's handed in a week 8, so it's handed in the week before the holiday break. Right? The last two coursework I'll talk about in more detail in specific lectures. One is the project plan. It's a structured document which lays out the aims, objectives, and methods that you're going to use in your project, with a couple of other aspects. And before you ask, ethical and legal has to be covered because. There you go. Right. Happy with that sort of. Because accreditation is the actual answer. We provide degrees which are accredited by professional bodies, and part of that accreditation requires you to have knowledge of all of the requirements of a professional engineer or a professional computer scientist. Understanding ethical and legal and commercial aspects are part of that. So it's over before quarter 2. The third coursework is a poster, and the purpose of the poster is to summarize the aims and objectives and the context for your project, and to explain why it matters and why it's going to save the world and all of that. Right? You will then present it to each other, and us, but each other, at a conference.
第一是写的是重复，第二写的句法。
No, no, no.
前两篇文章啊，
Now that sounds like an insoluble problem for me. No.
所以还是
You will not all present to everyone else.
哎，不过这个退不掉。
I will explain the mechanism of presentation at a later date when it's not quite so urgent. But in summary, you will be placed in groups. You will present to the group, and then you will mark each other. Thanks for that. That was a good summary. Okay?
People
Something
getting
for
a
you to
group.
discuss and up to.
100%.
Okay. Okay.
maybe.
For the next couple of weeks, I would like you to review some online information about writing. The links to these will be on the notes page, or on the notes page, so I don't know. Right? There are 3, I call them lectures, featuring me. Right? There's one, they're based on technical writing. So there's an overview lecture on technical writing. There is a more detailed lecture on the structure of a typical report, what goes where. And then there's a third lecture specifically on writing reviews. For next week, I would like you to watch 1 and 2. Okay? Online, at your leisure, in your own time. Okay? Any questions? Yes.
About the topics, say I pick a topic and 5 other people say pick the same topic as me as their first choice. Who gets it?
You pick 6 options, none of them are your first choice.
Oh. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yes, that was really good.
啊，有一个是你的第一选择是吧？
You can talk to me.
他以为是随
For
机选择
summary
是吧？
purposes, again, I'll stick them on the notes page so that you can bear them in mind. Today for the conference, I will schedule as quickly as I can. It's a bit problematic to organize, but I'll
Maybe like 1 or 2
possible. Any other questions?
对，你
Don't say no because you're all
你可以
talking.
有一个第一选择，然后还有5个备选。
No?
我觉得好像是那个意思。
Hey! Is everyone going to have a unique topic? Yes. Every project has a unique topic. There are currently 495 choices available to you in the system. There will be more by the start of the week.
We're reading an essay just on the
Yes.
What was the question?
What was the question?
Okay. Right, wait. Does anyone have any general questions about the module? Okay, go. Pick a project. Yeah. So pick the project from the supervisor you like. That's the way I would do it.
The supervisor design.
Yes.
自己选监督者啊。